Hey guys, Sav here, finally back with another Fractal Friday video, the long overdue review of the Shattered Observatory Fractal. Of course, I'm doing it on T4 for this video. Today I'm doing it with my Revenant, my Connie Renegade build, which I don't know if you guys have seen before, but hopefully you guys enjoy that. It's a fun build. If you guys haven't played it, I highly recommend it. Pretty simple rotation. It comes with double heals, a lot of support, good DPS. It's a good build. First battle here is with Scorable. Scorable does a lot of talking about being angry and how he needs to kill us and we deserve to die. But he's not actually that difficult in my opinion. I kind of screwed up in the beginning here. He has a hammer attack. It really doesn't do much. He has a little red, I call it the red ball attack. I really don't know what else to call it. It spawns a little red ball over his head, and then it splashes down and makes little AoEs, which hurt a lot, by the way, if you step in the AoEs, more so than the ball actually hitting you. So I do recommend that you avoid those AoEs. At 66% and 33% of his health, we do these little phases right here where we have to go destroy some anomalies. You jump in the portal, you go to an anomaly, you kill the anomaly, you jump in another portal, go to another anomaly. It is not timed, however it is timed in the challenge mode. And I won't go over too many differences between regular and challenge mode, but just wanted to make you guys aware of it. You do have basically all day to do this. If one of your party members goes down on Scorable, you do have time to res them. It is actually a common misconception that this part is timed. Do be aware that these anomalies do have knockbacks. So if you have some stability, fantastic. If not, just don't stand too close to the edge. When you come back to the platform, watch out for that. There's an AoE that actually spawns on you, and you have to dodge out of it. As the circle comes to the ending, dodge out of it. Also, he will do like an explosion attack at the same time, so you kind of have to do like a double dodge or just dodge towards him. I think is the best advice I can give you. Just be aware that that AoE is on you as well. You have that little circle AoE on you, and you don't want to give it to your allies. One of the attacks that he did while I was yapping there is a kind of like a cone. He'll like target you and one person of the party in a cone. If you have that target over your head, do not stand with the rest of your party. The rest of your party will take a lot more damage than you will if you get hit by that attack. And plus, you can also time it and dodge out of it so you don't actually get the attack. Get hit by the attack. While we go back up here to fight some anomalies, we go over a couple other attacks that I didn't quite get to while things were going on. He does like this, I want to call it like a pizza attack. You'll see that there's certain AoEs that'll fill up and like different cones around him to the point where there actually it look like there's actually nowhere safe to stand, but he does it in 3 parts. So there will be event. You just have to kind of follow it around and make sure you're not into the cone he's currently unleashing the attack on. And then directly following that, he will leave one little wedge open for a 4th attack, and you have to get into that wedge before that 4th attack goes off. During this phase, and I'm not sure if I saw it or not in the 2nd phase, but I know for sure it doesn't in this phase, you're seeing the solar blooms spawning. You have to keep the solar blooms away from the party. They will spawn on one person in particular. It's random who it is, I think. I'm actually not sure if it's random or if it's maybe the furthest away person. But the point is you want to try to keep the solar blooms away. It makes it easier just to keep them away. If you can't keep them away, they will explode, and if they explode on the party, they do a really severe knockback / knockdown that will not only knock you down, it's more than likely to knock you off the platform. And that's pretty much Scorable, guys. He's not really all that difficult. It takes a little bit of practice, but he's not uber difficult. I mean, I really think it's something you can, beginners and veterans alike can really tackle. He's not difficult. This Fractal, by the way, is probably the most difficult Fractal in that they've made so far, and I think it has more to do with the 2nd boss, and the 3rd boss is fairly difficult too. I don't think Scorable really makes this Fractal that much more difficult. I feel like Scorable is a fairly tame and a nice warm-up for the rest of the Fractal, and I do enjoy Scorable a lot. So right now there's some dialogue from the NPCs. We're gonna go fight some trash mobs. I'm not gonna go too much into how the trash mobs work. Just know that a lot of them have knockbacks and knockdowns, so just be careful around the edges. Don't stand too close to the edges. You could get knocked off. I believe we can skip this, but nobody's pressing the button on that console. If you go ahead and press the button on the console, you can skip a lot of that dialogue. But we'll go over some other parts of the Fractal while we're clearing the trash here. It seems kind of silly for me to go over mislock instabilities for particular fractals anymore, because they do tend to change. I know for a fact in my previous Fractal Friday videos that some of the mislocks, instabilities that I may have gone over are no longer in that fractal, because a lot of them were just mixed up recently. And there's actually a plan, developers actually said in a recent AMA that they plan on trying to put them on some kind of rotation. So these are probably going to change, but as of current, the instabilities for this Fractal 100 are Fractal Vindicators, Adrenaline Rush, and No Pain, No Gain. In a fairly recent patch, they added 2 new mislock instabilities to Fractals, one of which was Fractal Vindicators. Another one was Hamstrung. We'll go over Hamstrung in another video. But no, the Fractal Vindicators are basically Fractal Avengers, but they are now friggin' jerks. And they have great swords, and they do a lot of damage. They hurt like hell. And you have to kill them. They will not... I don't think they despawn. I'm not actually sure if they despawn, because I don't usually leave them alive long enough to find out. If you go down in this Fractal, just know that a Vindicator is going to spawn, and it's going to screw your day up, or screw your someone in your party's day up. Fractal Vindicators suck. No Pain, No Gain, I don't believe I've gone over before in any of my other Fractals, though it has been around for a while. It just basically, enemies receive protection, might, and fury when you hit them. Basically, the more you hit them, the more boons they get. It helps to have a boon strip. A lot of times, Chronomancer auto attack will take care of that. If you have Necros in the party, their Scepter auto attack takes care of it. You don't usually have to worry too much about it. It is more prevalent, however, in challenge modes. And then Adrenaline Rush we've gone over before. It just means that the last 10% of their health, they basically become enraged. They do more damage. One thing I didn't mention, after we defeated Scorable, we got a special action key. Once again, it is important for you guys to have your special action key bound if you haven't already, for other Fractals or raids in particular. Also, there's a lot of open world stuff now that uses the special action key. So, you guys, if you haven't bound a special action key by now, please do so. You're going to need it in this Fractal. To be able to make this jump in particular, the ability is called Nova Launch. Obviously, it's a leap. It gets you from point A to point B. It's a dodge and evade, so it's very useful for that. And it also does a little bit of CC, if I'm not mistaken. So, Nova Launch, you're going to want to use it a lot. In this boss fight in particular, it is very, 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 almost overly very useful. And this boss is called Virastra. Basically, Virastra is my least favorite boss in the game, I think, right now. I just find her... I find her overly challenging still, even to this day. Mainly because I don't particularly do well with her bouncing ball. But I'll go over all the different mechanics for Virastra. Basically what happens is she spawns, she tells you she wants to play a game, and she kind of like does this dance, if you will, over to one of the 4 corners of the platform. While she's doing this, there's a bunch of little AoE explosions going on all over the place, and she spawns a bunch of her, basically clones of herself all over the place. You have to try to cleave down as many of these clones as possible. As you kill the bigger ones, they become smaller ones and smaller ones and smaller ones, and each time they become a smaller one, they double. Sometimes even do more than that. So you want to try to kill as many of them as possible to try to keep the ad count down. As she's going to the platform, or to the corner of the platform, as you saw, like right there, she will do like kind of like an explosion attack. You can jump over it, you can use the Nova Launch to dodge it, or you can just dodge through it. I'm having some serious lag issues apparently in this particular game. But anyway, also, as you just saw what happened to me, at some point you will become doomed. When you are doomed to explode, you will explode. And it won't necessarily kill you, but it will kill everybody in your party. At least send them immediately to downstate. You need to get into the bubble, which in this particular fight is in the middle of the platform. If you don't do that and contain your self-explosion, you will, like I said, you will basically wipe your party. Between the 66 and 33% phases, you have to go through this little CC phase. She basically spreads herself out to the four corners and middle of this platform in different clones, and you just have to CC all 5 of the different Vyashras. The ball mechanic, I haven't really gone over that, but it's the main reason why I cannot stand this boss, and you'll see it for the second time right now. Essentially, after she does her little dance to the platform and the explosion comes out, she will spawn a ball. The ball bounces. If you're not under the ball, if one of the persons of your party is not under the ball when the ball lands, the ball will explode, and it will do a lot of damage to everybody, including yourself in the party. Yes, and you have to, basically, it spreads out far enough, the bounce becomes far enough away from the last bounce that you have to use the Nova Launch. It is always the same pattern. I don't know the pattern, and I usually play top down a lot, so it's hard for me to see where the ball is going to bounce to next. So I screw up the bouncing of the ball a lot. If somebody in your party knows how to do it, this fight can go very, very smoothly. If you don't have somebody in your fight that knows how to do it, this fight can be a pain in the motherfucking ass. And I'm just saying that from frustrated experience with this battle. In particular, I cut 3 wipes out of this particular video because the person who said they were going to do it screwed it up that many times and wiped the party. It is a party wiper, it sucks, and it's a pain in the ass, but you gotta get good at it if you want to beat Vyashra. And that is the end of Vyashra, by the way. She's got a lot going on. It took me a while to spit it all out, but there it is. I hate her. You'll probably hate her too. And now we're going on to Arc. There's no trash mobs between Vyashra and Arc. Just a little bit of dialogue with the NPC. She'll open up the pathway here, and in we will go to fight Arc. Alright, so now we arrive at Arc. One quick note before we get started: your Nova launch, the special action key, has become the Hypernova launch, and one of the really, besides the range of how far you will jump with the Hypernova launch as opposed to the Nova launch, the biggest difference, the 2 biggest differences, is it's now a blast finisher, and you can now use it in midair. You couldn't use the Nova launch in midair before, and that will definitely come into play at some point. Especially if you're new to this fight, it'll definitely come into play at some point. I don't know what the hell happened here. Somebody somehow died, and we had to kill a freaking Vindicator there. But anyway, as we start here, you see we have the Solar Blooms. The Solar Blooms will be attached to everybody. There's going to be 4 everybody except one person, usually. The goal of the Solar Blooms is to bring them to these corner pylons and blow up the pylons with the Solar Blooms. The same rules the Solar Blooms apply to as before. They will knock you back if you're in their explosion, but you need to blow up those pylons. You'll have to do that several times during this fight. If this is your first attempt at Arc and you haven't wiped yet, just we have to sit through a lot of dialogue here, and you will do that big red explosion across the platform. Just stay away from it. It's big and telegraph. It's really not that hard to stay away from it. Do note that I did cut out a couple of wipes. I'm not exactly even sure how many. 2 or 3 at least. This wasn't the best group I'd ever been in. I do recommend that you have a healer, and I don't believe we have a healer, and it might be the reason why we're wiping so goddamn much. But anyway, a couple of the mechanics going on here. You can see the eye spawning above his head. This was something that did start, I believe, with Scorable, and I don't know if I mentioned it. If you do see the eye will, when the eye spawns, there will be a light beam that comes from the eye to your character. Not all characters at once, but you have to look away from it. Literally just turn away. This is a very important part here. This happens every 20% of his health. He'll tell you that he's harnessed the magic. I'm sorry, he's harnessed the chaos of interminable space-time. When he says that, after you do the Solar Bloom phase, you have to CC him immediately. If you do not CC him quick enough, he will do a big explosion, kind of like the You're Doomed explosion, and you will probably wipe your party. Or the whole party will wipe, I'm sorry, because it's not going to be any one person's fault, it'll be the whole party's fault. At 66% of his health, we just saw it right there, went kind of fast. He will spawn basically a ghost version of the Arc Diviner. Just kill the Arc Diviner like you would. His health pool is a lot lower than it normally is, but he has all of the same mechanics as he does in the Cliffside Fractal. A quick note again on the eye. If you do not look away from the eye, it does make you... What it basically does is it fears you. I forget how long the fear is. It's a big fear. You can use the special action key to get back quickly. Also, I don't know if you guys had seen it, and it's actually happening right now. The marbles, the red marbles are spawning above his head. If you use your special action key and you time it just right and jump towards him as those marbles are coming down, you will actually make them despawn. I do believe one falls for every member of the party, so the more people that do it, the less of those marbles are going to spawn. Not on screen at the moment, but you guys have seen it already. He does the a very similar pizza attack that Scorable does. So just make sure that you're not standing in the red areas, you're standing in the safe areas. He does actually have physical attacks with his cannon that he's holding. He will hit the ground and hit you if you're standing in front of him, so just be aware of that. At 33%, instead of spawning the Arc Diviner, he now spawns the Gladiator from the Chaos Fractal. He has all the same mechanics as he does in the Chaos Fractal. He's like a shadowy version. However, obviously a lot less HP. He will spawn little kitty cat golems with him as well, so make sure you try to cleave them down. And also make sure you CC him so that he doesn't do his whirl attack. If he does his whirl attack, it's going to hurt a lot. Starting after the 33% phase, as you can see, part of the platform is starting to disappear. There will be a big red arrows and blue that spawns on the squares that are about to disappear. If you're standing, if you happen to walk off the edge, like if you get feared from the eyeball, just keep in mind that you can use the Hypernova launch in midair. What will happen is you will actually fall through the floor and then you will respawn up above the platform. So along with all those things I've already talked about, I don't know if you guys have seen or not, you know the Doomed bubble is here, so if you do get doomed, you get the orange skull above your head, make sure you get into that bubble. Another thing I don't think I mentioned to this point, during that solar bloom phase where you're blowing up the pylons, if you don't blow up the pylons with the solar blooms, there will be a huge explosion which will likely wipe your party. So keep that in mind, make sure you get those hyper blooms done. You can move the hyper blooms by auto attacking them or attacking them in any way, shape, or form. Just keep in mind if you use attacks like such as like a Renegade Axe 5, that it won't necessarily go straight. It'll go towards your, it'll get pulled in by the AoE. And that's Arc, guys, and that is the Shattered Observatory Fractal. If you're going to need a lot of practice, I recommend that you do it on lower levels first and get used to some of those mechanics. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.